A modern kid plays in the rain for one afternoon, comes home coughing, and suddenly the whole family goes into emergency mode. Thermometer, medicine, warm soup, maybe even a hospital visit. Now imagine an ancient child with the same fever. No pharmacy, no clean bandage, no antibiotics, no doctor who understood germs. Just smoke, dirt, cold wind, river water, parasites, and a body forced to fight almost everything alone. So how powerful was ancient human immunity? Powerful enough to survive a dirty, infected world every single day, but not powerful enough to make them safe. That is the part people usually miss. When we hear that ancient humans lived without hospitals, antibiotics, vaccines, or even soap, it is easy to imagine they had some kind of super immune system. Like their white blood cells were tiny cave warriors with stone axes. Nice image. Not exactly science. Ancient humans were not immune superheroes. They got sick. They got infected. Many children died young. A small wound could turn deadly. Bad water could make the body lose fluids faster than hunger. Childbirth could become a life or death event in one night. But the people who survived were living in a world that trained the immune system every day. Their bodies met soil, smoke, animal blood, insects, parasites, spoiled food, untreated water, and open wounds, not once in a while, but as normal life. Today, a dirty cut is annoying. Back then, a dirty cut could become a family emergency. So the answer is not simple. Ancient immunity was powerful, but it was not clean power. It was rough. It was expensive. And sometimes, it was dangerous to the body itself. To understand it, we only need 3 simple ideas: exposure, reaction, survival. Exposure means the body keeps meeting germs, parasites, and dirt. Reaction means the immune system actually fights back. Survival means the person lives through it. Those are not the same thing. You can meet germs every day and still die from one bad infection. Your body can fight hard and still lose. And a group can look tough only because the weakest people never lived long enough to be counted. That is the twist. Ancient humans were not strong because disease could not touch them. They looked strong because they were living inside a brutal survival filter. The evidence is not just in stories. It is in bones, teeth, old waste, damaged skeletons, and ancient DNA. Ancient teeth can show lines from childhood stress, hunger, or illness. Jaws can show abscesses. Bones can show healed fractures, long-term infection, and inflammation. Fossilized poop, called coprolites, can preserve parasite eggs. Not glamorous evidence, but very useful evidence. Basically, the past left receipts. And those receipts tell us this: ancient immunity had to work hard every day, but it did not always win. Imagine a morning before sinks, sealed kitchens, soap, and clean streets. A small group wakes near a riverbank. Smoke from last night's fire hangs under the shelter. Children sleep close together for warmth. Someone has been coughing for days. Outside, hands touch cold soil, animal hides, old blood, ash, bark, dung, river mud, and stone tools. Meat is cut on rock. Water comes from the same place animals drink. Insects move between waste, food, skin, and wounds. Flies do not care about food safety. Lice stay close to the body. Ticks wait in grass. Mosquitoes turn one creature's infection into another creature's problem. For ancient humans, germs were not a special event. Germs were part of the job: finding food, preparing food, making tools, carrying children, sleeping in groups, cleaning hides, crossing rivers, treating wounds, sharing warmth. The immune system was not an emergency service called once in a while. It was always on patrol. The first defense was the body's emergency team. Skin closed the gate. Blood clotted like wet cement. Swelling and heat rushed toward a wound. Fever made the body a bad hotel for some germs. Stomach acid killed many things swallowed with food and water. Mucus trapped dust and microbes in the nose, throat, lungs, and gut. Scientists call this innate immunity. Simple meaning: innate immunity is the fast defense you are born with. It does not need to know the exact name of the enemy. It just sees danger and reacts. Like a guard dog barking before it knows who is at the door. That speed mattered. In a prehistoric world, The first hours after a cut could decide everything. If blood clotted, if the wound closed, if immune cells trapped the bacteria, the person might recover. If infection spread deeper, there was no ambulance coming over the hill. So, in this sense, ancient immunity was powerful because it had to react fast. A slow reaction was not just uncomfortable. It could be fatal. But speed has a cost. Fever burns calories. Inflammation can damage healthy tissue. Swelling can create pressure. A strong immune reaction can save you, but it can also hurt you. Think of it like setting fire around a village to stop an enemy. It can work, but now you still have fire around your village. That was ancient immunity. Useful, aggressive, and risky. Then came the slower, smarter layer. Immune memory. Scientists call it adaptive immunity. Simple meaning, if the body survives an enemy once, it tries to remember that enemy's face. Next time, it can react faster. Modern vaccines are like showing the immune system a wanted poster. Ancient infection was like meeting the criminal in a dark alley. You might learn fast, or you might not walk away. That is why saying they had stronger immunity is too simple. They had more direct training, but the training was dangerous. Childhood exposure, local microbes, dirty water, animal contact, parasites, seasonal infections, and repeated wounds could all teach the body. But the lessons came with real risk. There were no vaccines to teach safely. There was only the real disease. So ancient immunity was powerful because it could learn. But it was dangerous because the test came before the lesson. Parasites made the story even more complicated. Ancient bodies were probably not just fighting quick infections. Many people were also carrying long-term passengers. Worms in the gut, lice in hair and clothing, ticks on skin, fleas in sleeping spaces, tiny organisms in water, insects that returned night after night. Some parasites kill fast, many do not. They linger. They steal nutrients. They irritate tissue. They keep the immune system busy for months or years. This matters because the immune system cannot attack everything at full power forever. Sometimes the body must fight. Sometimes it must contain. Sometimes it must tolerate. In simple words, the body sometimes says, I cannot remove this thing today, but I can keep it from destroying me. Not heroic, but practical. Ancient immunity was powerful not because it destroyed every parasite. It was powerful because it often learned how to survive while carrying them. But again, there was a price. Too little reaction, and infection spreads. Too much reaction, and the body starts paying for its own defense. So when we ask how powerful ancient immunity was, one answer is this. It was powerful enough to keep fighting under constant pressure, but that does not mean the person felt healthy. There is a big difference between surviving and thriving. A body can be experienced and still exhausted. Smoke-filled shelters irritated lungs. Cold drained energy. Poor sleep slowed recovery. Hunger weakened defense. Pregnancy raised the stakes. Injury opened the door for infection. Ancient humans may have had fierce immune reactions, but fierceness is not the same as safety. The body cannot fight without fuel. A fever is not just a symptom. It is a fire inside the body, and fire needs fuel. Raising body temperature burns calories. Building immune cells needs protein and minerals from food. Closing a wound means making new tissue, clotting blood, controlling bacteria, and rebuilding skin or muscle. Modern people often think of sickness as a medical problem first. For ancient humans, sickness was also an energy problem. Could the body afford to be sick? Imagine a small group near winter. The easy fruits are gone. The river is harder to fish. A herd has moved away. A child is coughing. One adult has a deep cut in the leg. Today, we think of stitches, antibiotics, clean water, fluids, and rest. Back then, the first question was more basic. Does this body have enough left to heal? That is why ancient immunity changed with the season. After a successful hunt or a good gathering period, the body had more to spend. Meat and fish brought protein and fat. Nuts, tubers, shellfish, honey, eggs, roots, fruits, and greens brought different nutrients. Many hunter-gatherer diets could be very varied, sometimes more varied than later farming diets that depended heavily on a few crops. A varied diet can support immune defense, but it does not erase danger. A drought could empty the landscape. A storm could ruin a season. Animals could move away. An injury could stop someone from walking or hunting. Hunger made every infection more dangerous. The same fever that helps a well-fed person could break a starving one. The same wound that closes during abundance could rot during shortage. So ancient immunity was powerful, but it still needed food. No calories, no miracle. Bones show both sides of this story. A healed fracture tells us something impressive. Someone broke a bone and lived long enough for it to repair. That means the body worked, and often the group helped. But a jaw abscess tells another story. A tooth infection could eat into bone. Without modern dentistry or antibiotics, pain in the mouth could become danger in the whole body. Ancient teeth can also show enamel defects. Simple meaning, marks from times when childhood growth was interrupted by illness, hunger, or extreme stress. In other words, the body had to pause normal building because survival came first. The skeleton becomes a diary, and it is not a relaxing diary. This is where group care becomes important. A deep cut, animal bite, broken ankle, burned hand, or bad fever could kill faster if a person was alone. But humans were not lonely machines scattered across the wilderness. They were social animals. They shared food, protected the injured, carried children, let the sick rest when possible, used water, leaves, moss, bark fiber, resin, clay, or plant knowledge to manage wounds. Not modern medicine, but not nothing either. Ancient immunity did not end at the skin. It extended into the group. The immune system fought inside the body, but the community fought around it. That sounds poetic, but it is also practical. A person who cannot walk still needs calories. A feverish child still needs warmth. A mother after birth still needs protection. A wounded hunter still needs someone to keep flies off the injury and food near the fire. Care was survival technology. Probably the oldest healthcare system was not a hospital. It was someone staying awake beside the fire. Nowhere was this more important than childbirth and early childhood. For mothers, childbirth brought bleeding, exhaustion, and infection risk. Without sterile rooms, safe surgery, or modern emergency care, a small complication could become deadly. For infants, the world was even more dangerous. Their immune systems were unfinished. They were still learning friend from enemy. Breast milk gave calories, water, maternal antibodies, and immune signals. Simple meaning. Breast milk did not just feed the baby. It also carried some of the mother's protection. Warmth, touch, protection, and shared care helped keep babies alive through the most fragile years. This changes how we imagine ancient humans. We often picture the adults who made it. Hunters, gatherers, toolmakers, scarred survivors beside a fire. But adulthood itself was proof that someone passed through a brutal filter. Many never reached it. So, yes, the adults could look incredibly tough, but they were also the survivors of hunger, parasites, smoke, wounds, cold, infection, and childhood disease. This is not the same as everyone being naturally stronger. It means the ancient world selected harshly. Evolution works slowly, but it works with terrifying honesty. It does not reward what is perfect. It rewards what survives long enough to leave children behind. If an immune trait helped someone resist a parasite, survive a fever, or recover from infection, that trait had a chance to move forward. Over many generations, immune-related traits could become more common in places where the same threats kept returning. Ancient DNA has started to reveal this hidden history. Simple meaning, tiny pieces of genetic information from old bones and teeth can show what pressures ancient people faced. Immune-related parts of the genome show signs of pressure because disease was one of humanity's oldest enemies. Migration, mixed populations. Interbreeding added new variants. Diets changed. Settlements changed. Contact with animals changed. The battlefield kept moving. But evolution is not a clean upgrade system. It is more like trading one problem for another. A trait that helps against one infection may raise risk somewhere else. A strong inflammatory response can protect against microbes, but may also increase damage. A gene useful in one landscape may be costly in another. So no, ancient people did not carry one universal better immunity setting. There was no Stone Age premium immune package. Different groups faced different threats. A coastal forager, a highland herder, a river valley farmer, and a desert hunter would not meet the same microbial world. Their food was different. Their parasites were different. Their water was different. Their risks were different. Even the deep human past still lives inside us. Some modern people carry immune-related genetic variants, inherited from Neanderthals or Denisovans. In certain environments, some of these variants may have helped with antiviral defense or inflammation. In other situations, they may have had downsides. Again, not magic upgrades, more like old tools in the genetic toolbox. Useful sometimes, annoying other times, like keeping a stone axe in a modern kitchen. Interesting, but you probably should not use it on everything. Then came one of the biggest disease shifts in human history: settlement. For most of our species' history, many humans lived in small, mobile groups. That did not make them safe. They still faced infected wounds, parasites, contaminated water, respiratory illness, foodborne disease, and accidents. But some diseases struggle when human groups are small and scattered. If an infection burns through everyone nearby, it can run out of people to infect. Agriculture changed the map. People began living closer together for longer periods. Stored grain attracted rodents. Domesticated animals brought their own microbes. Waste built up near homes. Villages became towns. Towns became cities. People slept nearer to other people. Animals, insects, feces, smoke, and stagnant water. A disease that might have vanished in a small mobile band could now pass from home to home, child to child, season after season. This did not make the immune system weaker. It made the challenge different. Earlier foragers had constant environmental exposure: soil, wounds, water, parasites, animal blood, smoke, and weather. Settled life added density. More people, more waste, more animals, more stored food, more repeated transmission. Human success created new disease highways. That is a very human thing to do. We solve one problem and accidentally build a bigger one with a roof. This is where the comparison with us gets tricky. Modern humans are not simply fragile descendants of tougher ancestors. We live in huge numbers because we have protection. Ancient people did not have sanitation, vaccines, antibiotics, safer surgery, clean water, emergency care, safer childbirth, and better famine protection. A cut that once might have turned fatal can now be cleaned, stitched, and treated. A childhood infection that once swept through a group can be prevented before it starts. Diarrhea that once killed through dehydration can be treated with fluids and salts. Modern medicine did not make immunity irrelevant. It gave immunity backup. That is the real difference. Ancient immune systems often had to fight alone. Modern immune systems often fight with support, but our bodies still carry the memory of the older world. Human immunity evolved in bodies that walked long distances, touched soil, breathed smoke, met animals, fasted sometimes, feasted sometimes, and lived inside intense social and ecological contact. Today, many people live with less microbial variety, different diets, more sitting, chronic stress, pollution, and much longer lifespans. We also live long enough for problems like chronic inflammation, autoimmune disease, allergy, and age-related illness to become more visible. Sometimes the ancient immune fire, built to react quickly and strongly, burns in modern life in ways that are not useful, like a security alarm designed for wolves, but now it keeps screaming at pollen. So how powerful was ancient human immunity? Powerful enough to keep humans alive through ice ages, migrations, infected wounds, parasites, spoiled food, childbirth, hunger, smoke, and countless fevers without hospitals or microscopes. Powerful enough to learn from exposure, adapt across generations, remember past infections, and work together with food, movement, fire, shelter, and care. But not magical, not safe, not superior in a simple way. Ancient immunity was powerful because it was constantly trained. It was dangerous because that training was real. And it was limited because every immune response needed fuel, rest, luck, and help from other humans. The final image should not be a disease-proof caveman laughing at bacteria. It should be something more human. A scarred person beside a fire, cold air outside the shelter, a healing cut under dirty cloth, a child coughing nearby, food shared carefully, and a body fighting invisible battles it does not understand. That body was not invincible. But it was not weak either. Ancient human immunity was a survival system forged by a dirty, hungry, wounded, infected world. Strong enough to carry our species forward. Fragile enough that one bad wound, one bad fever, or one bad season could still end everything.